Thank you. Good morning. This is Chairman Jim Hughes, and this is a special meeting. The Ohio Industrial Commission is called to order. This meeting is being conducted telephonically and is being streamed on the Ohio Industrial Commission's YouTube channel. The link to listen to our meeting is available on our public website. On June 16th, 2020, Governor Mike DeWine signed into law House Bill 81. House Bill 81 makes significant changes to several sections of the Ohio Revised Code in matters of adjudication before the Ohio Industrial Commission. The topic of this meeting is limited to discussing the Industrial Commission's response to House Bill 81, the implementation of its provision, and the rescission of Memo D5, voluntary abandonment. During this meeting, it is important that prior to speaking, each participant introduce themselves by stating their name and title. That is so that the record accurately reflects proceedings and the public is properly informed. I now ask our Executive Director, Mr. Tim Adams, to call the roll, please.
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Ohio Industrial Commission. As I call your name, please restate your name and affirm your presence. Commissioner Karen Gilmore.
Commissioner Karen Gilmore, here.
Commissioner Jody Taylor.
Commissioner Jody Taylor, here.
Chairman Jim Hughes.
Chairman Jim Hughes, present. This is Chairman Jim Hughes. Let the record show that a quorum is present. And now the floor is open to discuss the addition of the issue of House Bill 81, which is being called for a special meeting. Once again, during this discussion, it is important that the speakers state their name prior to speaking. And this is necessary to make sure that we create an accurate record of the proceedings of this commission. At this point in time, I'd like to call upon our Assistant Director of Adjudication, Tom Connor, please, regarding House Bill 81.
Okay, this is Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication. The current issue of voluntary abandonment is handled, or the policy on it through the Industrial Commission is in adjudications before the Ohio Industrial Commission Memo D5. This is a policy memo that is really a synthesis of all of the different cases, trying to put the whole picture together as the different fact patterns have gone through the courts over the past 20 or so years. In House Bill 81, it was the specific intent of the General Assembly by placing language in Ohio Revised Code 412356 for temporary total and wage loss and 412358 for permanent total, as well as removing from the 412358 a reference to voluntary abandonment, to supersede the prior case law entirely, so that the issue of whether an action has taken place that would break the chain of causation between the inability to work or wage loss would make it so that the payment of temporary total, wage loss, or permanent total would be inappropriate. That language is in the statute is now the standard. And the prior case law has been superseded or will be superseded effective tomorrow. So it was my suggestion and is my suggestion that the Commission simply rescind Memo D5 because the cases upon which it was based will no longer be in effect starting tomorrow. And then we will, I do not recommend replacing it with anything at this point. There may come a time when we start to see a trend in certain fact patterns or gray areas that are the Commission would like to see some kind of consistent application, but that will be something that we'll have to observe for a period of time to see what types of fact patterns are tending to come before the hearing officers where guidance would be helpful. So that is the recommendation today is for purposes of today to simply rescind Memo D5.
This is Jim Hughes, Chairman. Thank you Director Tom Connors. Are there any questions of Director Tom Connor regarding his recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Gilmore. I would like to make the motion that Tom has just proposed before we discuss or ask questions.
This is Chairman Jim Hughes. Commissioner Karen Gilmore, you want to make a motion? Ask you make your motion, please.
Well, my motion would be that the Industrial Commission rescind memo I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but something 5. I wasn't intending to make a motion, but I think we need to do that before we discuss or ask questions.
This is Chairman Jim Hughes. Just to be clear, Commissioner Gilmore, I think, is moving to rescind memo D5 of voluntary abandonment that due to the fact that House Bill 81 becomes effective on September 15th. Is that correct, Commissioner Gilmore?
Yes, thank you very much.
This is Chairman Jim Hughes. That was Commissioner Gilmore that just spoke. This is Chairman Jim Hughes. It has been moved. Is there a second to Commissioner Gilmore's motion? I, as Chairman Jim Hughes, will second Commissioner Gilmore's motion. I will now open it up for any discussion on the motion at this point in time. Does anybody have any discussion they want to share? And before we're doing that, I want to make sure I didn't state this. I have also talked to the stakeholders, interested stakeholders on this issue. And it should be noted, too, that when House Bill 81 went through the legislature, it was supported by the NFIB, which is one of the stakeholders, as well as the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, one of the stakeholders, and also Labor was also on board with this. And then I, as chairman, and my staff have also reached out to the stakeholders to let them know what we were doing today, and we have received no opposition in terms of what we were doing. I want to make sure we had that. I will go back now to see if there's any discussion on the motion that has been properly moved by Commissioner Gilmore, seconded by me, Chairman Jim Hughes. Any discussion on that? Hearing no discussion.
This is Commissioner Jody Taylor. I would like to ask Tom Connor, the Director of Hearing Services, a couple of questions. Tom, you have recommended that we are not replace memo D5 with another memo or policy. Is that correct?
This is Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. This is Commissioner Jody Taylor, and I just want to make sure that we understand that that does not mean there will not be guidance given to the hearing officers. Can you explain to me what your plan is, providing guidance to the hearing officers on this new legislation? How are we going to reach out to the hearing officers to give them advice or guidance on how to process these requests for temporary total and to handle this new legislation?
This is Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication. Yes, in a separate action by memo and also in answering questions that may come up, there will be an explanation that this issue now is one of causation, and they should treat it that way, much like an intervening injury or something like that might come up as an issue of causation to break the chain of the loss in wages or the inability to work. So, and then we will obviously invite them to let us know any unusual fact patterns to seek guidance, or so that we can start, when I say we, that would be Laura Shank, the hearing officer trainer, and I can start to compile those to look for any kind of trends that might come up that would justify or could possibly justify future commission action. in this area. I don't want to leave anyone with the impression that we will never need to provide some formal guidance. I just don't think there's sufficient information when we're just getting started with this statute to put it out there at this period of time. But there will be separate memos explaining all of the changes to in House Bill 81. This is the only change involving voluntary abandonment that is expected to come to hearing in the coming weeks.
All right, this is Commissioner Jody Taylor. I just want to make sure that we are not leaving the impression that our hearing officers tomorrow are going to not be provided any kind of guidance via a memo, which is informal. It's not a formal policy the commission adopts, but they will be provided that guidance by tomorrow to conduct hearings on this matter. Is that correct?
This is Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication. Yes, that is accurate.
Okay, this is Commissioner Jody Taylor. I have no further questions.
This is Chairman Jim Hughes. Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Gilmore, do you have any questions of Mr. Tom Connor, Director of Adjudication?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. At that point in time, since the discussion's all been taking place, I will call the question, and I'll ask the Executive Director, Mr. Tim Adams, to call the roll.
This is Tim Adams, Executive Director of the Ohio Industrial Commission. As I call your name, please restate your name and state your vote. Commissioner Karen Gilmore.
Commissioner Karen Gilmore, yes.
Commissioner Jody Taylor.
Commissioner Jody Taylor, yes.
Chairman Jim Hughes.
This is Chairman Jim Hughes, yes. This is Chairman Jim Hughes. The motion does carry. So therefore, we will have the rescission of the memo D5 voluntary abandonment. This is the only item that we had for a special meeting today. At this point in time, I will move that we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Meeting